call to order this September 15th, 2022 meeting of the Ames Parks and Recreation Commission. First item on the agenda is to approve the meeting minutes from August 18th, 2022. Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion on the table is to approve the meetings from August 18th meeting. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, seeing none, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the public forum. This is for items not on the agenda. If anyone in the audience would care to speak on any issue related to parks. All right, seeing no one for the public forum, we'll go ahead and close public forum. Next item on the agenda is introduction of Gabby Edwards, City Forester, and Bryce Benedict, the Recreation Coordinator.
Yeah, so very pleased, throughout our meetings, we have various staff come in and do reports or give updates or answer questions and so on. So I think Bryce and Gabby, they both started on the same day. So this might be week 4. Is that right? Or week 3?
I think so.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
So week
Please
3
so.
or week 4? Week 4. So we're really excited to have Gabby and Bryce both on board. Gabby is our second city forester. We're really excited to have Gabby. She brings a lot of new ideas, and we're very impressed with her qualifications. So we'll give both of them an opportunity to say some words when we get done. So very excited to have Gabby here. And if some of you were right here at the beginning, one of the first tasks that Joshua gave Gabby to do was to submit an application for a $9,000 grant for tree planting. And she just found out today that she was received that $9,000 award. So woohoo to Gabby. and then Bryce Benedict, he's a recreation coordinator. And then this is a new position. So Bryce is our first recreation coordinator in this position. And I'll let him give you more details as well, but very excited, new grad, and again, bringing a lot of energy and excitement and getting after it. So whoever wants to go first, go ahead and give a little bit of something about yourselves. And maybe before we do that, how about the commissioners? Why don't you just introduce yourselves real quick and what you do?
So I'm Nathan Shimonik. This is my second year as commissioner with the Parks and Rec. It's always fun to be able to be here as accountability on the citizens towards the government, city government, and it's fun to hear everything that's going on too. So it's a good time.
I'm Sarah Katie. I'm the chair of the commission, and this is my 4th or 5th year on the commission. And in my spare time, I work in the chemistry department. Just really enjoyed being part of some big projects here in the city, and it's been really fun and really rewarding. So,
I'm Rachel Kramer. This is my first year with the commission. I work at Iowa State writing press releases primarily about research.
I'm Jeremy Bristow, longtime Ames resident. This is my 5th year, probably.
we came on at the same time.
Yeah. So, experienced lots here. I'm a banker, so that's always fun. It's a pleasure to meet both of you.
This is Jacob Ludwig. He's not here. He's the president of the student government, the student body.
Mm-hmm.
He's a politician. So
Yeah.
Yes.
College age politician.
gotta get nice to this guy. He'll be governor one day.
Yes.
Dwayne Reeves,
President.
I think I've been on the council 3 years. Commission 3
Something
years.
like that.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that area. I work at Iowa State also in specialty business services and cultural arts.
See, they have so much fun up here. They don't even remember how many years they've been on the commission.
Time flies.
That's true.
So, yeah, Gabby?
Sure. Yeah. So Gabby Edwards. My full name is Gabrielle. You'll see that on my emails, but everybody who knows me calls me Gabby. Before coming to the city of Ames, I was working with the Iowa DNR in the Capitol Complex area, serving statewide urban forestry. So working on community inventories, management plans, grants, statewide grants, as well as grants that we receive from the U.S. Forest Service. So a variety of different things. I was there for just shy of 5 years. I appreciate coming to Ames because it's a lot shorter of a commute for me. I live in Ames. Rather than commuting down to the Capitol every day, I now get to commute just a few minutes across town, which is great. Prior to the DNR, I also worked at Iowa State on the extension side of things. I was the Iowa State Extension Urban Forester. So based out of here in Ames, served statewide again. And that's what brought me and my family to Ames. So I've lived here in Ames for about 6 years now. Both my children, I have 2 children, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. Both of them were born here. They go to school here and all that fun stuff here in Ames. Before that, I grew up in Northeast Iowa. I grew up just outside of Waterloo. Worked for John Deere for a while after college. I graduated from college at Iowa State. In 4 years, I got a degree in environmental science and forestry. It's a little bit about me. I guess in my free time, I am passionate about the Iowa Arboretum. I'm a board of directors member for the Iowa Arboretum. You should take a trip down there to just outside of Luther if you have not been there recently. And then I also sew. So I sew clothing for myself and my boys, and I dabble in quilting. But I'm one of those people that's really bad at quilting because I start a block and then I do another block like a year later, and then another block a year later, and maybe in a decade I'll get a quilt done. It'll be fine. So those are kind of the things. I also garden, and I have a large backyard prairie here in Ames.
Very familiar with this crafting strategy.
Yeah, right. Isn't that called UFOs? Unfinished
Unfinished
objects.
objects, yeah.
Yeah, got a lot of those in my basement. Nice to meet you all.
All right. So yeah, my name's Bryce Benedict. I'll kind of say this fast because you guys won't like it. I went to the University of Iowa, graduated from there in 2021. It's a rough weekend too. So, so I graduated from University of Iowa in 2021. I graduated with my bachelor's in sport and recreation management. So I've always had a passion for recreation and kind of got to explore that opportunity being on the Recreational Services Charter Committee for a couple of years at Iowa. So I'm really involved in just all things they do recreation. So kind of started my passion there. I was able to find this opportunity here. So I'm really excited for that. I'm originally from a small town by Ottumwa, Iowa. It's called Agency. So there wasn't a whole lot to do outside of school or anything like that or work. So just having opportunities to give the community a lot of things to do, all recreation, I'm really excited about. So far, I've been able to go out and introduce myself to coaches, instructors, umpires, referees. So it's really cool to see the programs we have existing in effect and working. So I'm really excited to help improve those and kind of gain that community feedback, and then also push out new ideas for recreation programs. So I've already kind of got to start on that. So I'm excited to kind of push those new things out and get more options for the community to get involved. So.
I don't think you mentioned it, Bryce, but you're also working on your master's.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So going after my master's degree, that's a master's in management leadership. So that's something I'm really passionate into, is being a leader in my field. So I graduated that in December. So I'm getting there. I'm almost there. So.
Well, welcome. It'll be great to have you around, and look forward to hearing about your new ideas and programs, and it's gonna be great. So awesome. All
Can we
right.
get you out of here in time?
Yep.
You can go. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I got to go to gymnastics class at 5:15.
There you go.
Speaking of rec programs.
There you go.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
all.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is motion approving the rental of Furman Aquatic Center at the cost of $840 per day on June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 2023 for the Ames ACAC youth swim meet, including the lazy river and the cost of additional lifeguards.
So in the commission action form, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. pretty much we're suggesting doing the same thing that we did this past year. The meet went really well. And just as a refresher, we used to, with this meet, they would have the 50-meter for their swim event, and then we would leave the rest of the facility open. And it caused a bit of issues, just some different logistical types of things for operations. So we have gone to where when they are in the facility, they have the entire facility for themselves. And that's basically Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning. And then we are still on Saturday and Sunday, then we're able to have the facility open. Maybe a little bit later, 2:00, I think, is when we open up, but then we can still do all three basins at that time. So that went well again. We're continuing to do that. Really, probably the biggest thing, and you've already seen this, the commission has already seen this when we brought to you in June some updated fees and charges, and this is just another extension of that. So generally, we try to raise their fees about 3%, and with the increased cost of lifeguards, that we've had to do with wage increases and so on, we are proposing a 8.5% increase, which really comes down to $65 per day. Courtney has been working with ACAC, and their leadership does not have any issue with that increase. They understand, what we're going through, and just trying to cover some of those extra costs. So with it, there are several alternatives, but staff is recommending alternative number 1, which is the $840 per day for June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 2023, and that would include use of the lazy river and cost of additional guards if they chose to use that. So, any questions?
Okay. If there are no additional questions for Keith, would anyone care to make a motion?
I move to accept alternative 1.
I will second.
All right. Motion on the table is alternative 1, approve the rental of Furman Aquatic Center at the rate of $840 per day on June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 2023 to ACAC for the youth swim meet. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor of alternative 1, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, the motion carries. All right. Next item on the agenda is a discussion of the capital improvements plan so far with public input.
Yeah. So with this, we kind of kicked this off in August, gave you an idea with the timeline and everything. We're not going to go over that again with this. Since that August meeting, we did have a public input session on September 8th. We'll review that a little bit. We're just going to kind of go through some of the projects. We did send out with the materials, the current plan for the CIP. And again, generally what happens, everything kind of moves up a year, but there will be some things that we'll share with you. Right now, there are some things that we probably need to move into year 1, and we'll share that. And just to give you an idea, we only get so much local option sales tax money. And when we put this 5-year plan together, if we have $1 million in year 1 and 800,000 in year 2 and 900,000 in year 3 and so on, we have to stay within those numbers, for local option sales tax. We as staff have been going through some of the numbers that we have for certain projects, and just with what we have experienced or been experienced in various things, there are projects we're going to have to increase, the dollar amount. We might have to go from 75 to 100 or 125, or from 50 to 75. just, various things like that. And then when we move, one of the main things is moving the resurfacing of the Innis Grove tennis courts. We think that needs to be moved up to this year. So if we do that with what we're proposing or thinking that we're going to, with increases and moving the Innis Grove up, we're already probably somewhere between 300,000 and 400,000 more than what we have, which means we'll need to delay, some projects, which winds up delaying things, right on through to years. And we may have to take a look. You're going to see a lot of items in here. There are some new things, but there's a lot of items on here are just maintenance, things, either replacement or repair and so on. Those are things that we're going to have to do. So, and then on top of that, we'll get to it a little bit later, but with City Council approving purchasing the parkland out west, and I'll give you more details. But one of the questions that council member asked was, how do we put some of that development into the CIP as well? And just said, well, if that's going to be one of the funding streams, which it can be, if we're going to do that and that's going to be a priority, then some of these other projects are going to wind up having to be delayed and so on. So, and then just on top of it, just even with playgrounds, we're seeing playground, equipment to get the same thing that we've had in the past, probably 10 to 15% increase. Installation costs are right now 25 to 30% of the cost of the equipment. So there's just a lot of things that are out there that it's going to be a real struggle putting this all together. So I just wanted to give you that kind of heads up. And so really what we want you to do is, as we're going through this tonight, is be thinking, are there some things that are really high priority for the commission? All right. And if we can just look at that, if there are some high priority items, if you can give us that direction or identify those items for us, then, and give us some leeway to put the rest of the CIP together, that will be very helpful. All right. Any questions about that intro? I know it sounds kind of like gloom and doom, but the good thing is we're still going to get $800,000 to $1 million of improvements every year. It's just, where is that money? What's that money going to go to? Right. And again, this is talking local option sales tax. We do have some activities or some projects that will be funded through GEO bonds, such as the maintenance facility or the paths around Ada Hayden. So those we won't have to. That doesn't affect the local option sales tax. And then we have the ice arena has its own capital improvement fund. So there are some things that will go and we're working through, are there some grant opportunities for some of these projects, for some of this development? So we need to do more and more of that as we go. So, all right. Now he just told me that.
Down is
Yeah.
forward.
Down is up, left is right.
Yeah. He told me. I think he gave me bad info here. You might have to.
Did you turn
next
it on?
slide, please. Yeah,
Oh.
it's on because I got the
Oh, you got the pointer.
Oh,
So, all right. So kind of just shared this already. Kind of went through. Now you're going to see some of the items that we have received suggestions on. I put them on here, but they're really operations. But again, I put them on here because people suggested them. But we'll sort that out. Staff will do that. I'll just touch the side of my
Sorry.
nose whenever you.
Can you get a little buzzer that like shocks him every time you?
So
What shocks you?
Okay.
So at 23-24
screen.
right now, the indoor aquatic center, Fitch Family Indoor Aquatic Center, Obviously, a big ticket item between these next couple of years, and I'll give you more information later. Car park, installing the shelter, restroom there, park maintenance, consolidated the facilities. That is, like I said, through geo bonds. And then, the weight equipment, parking, and, wetland overlook. Go to the next slide. So maintenance facilities in, we have the cemetery down here, maintenance facilities. And then we have our main maintenance facility here. And then we have down in the floodplain more. So we're really trying to consolidate all those to right here. All right. So again, we're not sure we're going to have enough money there as well. The next slide, and this is something, and with it, and just for example, so with this wetland overlook, right here, the main parking lot is here, shelter, North Lake. So right there is where we're proposing with it. Again, this is one of those items that may not be in your high priority list. And we can push this to other things. So this is the kind of stuff that we're wanting you to take a look and give us some direction. So next slide, McCarthy Lee Park, adding gutters to the hill from an erosion standpoint, playground equipment. Those are the ones that are ready to be replaced. And then, we put money aside every year, $25,000 for ADA improvements. So just and maybe what might be helpful would be helpful to go just in these years. So like 23, 24, are there some high priority items for you in those? Go back to the first slide, Joshua. Yep, that one. So take the aquatic center out, park maintenance facility, you can take that out. But the other ones, are there high priority items, in there for commission?
I think car park to me is a priority just for the neighborhood. I think that's something that they have really been waiting for. Like the community center, I think that is not, I guess I don't know the dollar amount on that, but that doesn't seem like a huge
And
expenditure, but
it's probably going to be 75 to 100,000. But that weight equipment is probably 10, 12 years old, right now. And you'll see there was one, if you read through the emails that we received, that was a comment from somebody. And yeah. All right. So car park, I think that's a high priority. Anything else on that list right now?
Is car park going to coincide with the agility course? Go do it all.
It may wind up that way,
Maybe, yeah.
Because, we'll be looking, trying to, get the agility course. So it may wind up being installed at the same time.
because that's funded, right?
That is already funded. The agility course is.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess to me, a lower priority would be the Ada Hayden wetland overlook. And I wonder if, when the bike paths are redone, if that can be combined with that project, or, especially since you anticipate some bonds to help pay for the bike path repaving. Just a thought.
Where are people parking right now for the Cottonwood Shelter?
Well, there's it's the way it's set up. So that's by the Lowhead Dam, okay, by the modifications that we made. So the parking is right there. It's not it's not set up very well. You can basically park on one side of what that lot is, but the parking is right there, close to the feature. And then if you go south, then there's a shelter, and then south of the shelter is the playground equipment. One of the things, all of that we feel needs to be replaced or upgraded. So what we want to do is we want to take the parking and actually move that to the south. So then we can put the playground and the shelter closer to the feature, and you don't have kids or people having to go through the parking lot to get to the feature. So it's really a safety concern from staff standpoint. So that's what we're looking at. Parking might be 20 stalls. That might be what it is.
I do remember that being a safety concern, just where the road was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. Next, that next slide then, Joshua. No, anything on there?
it's kind of all maintenance stuff.
Yeah, the one thing with I would say is we would probably continue to put so many playground pieces, each year, because if we continue pushing them off, then all of a sudden we might come back with a year where it's nothing but playground equipment
Yeah.
because, we have to replace them. And again, it is a safety, issue, but staff does a really good job of taking a look at it, and we try to replace them every 20 years. Some we have to do at 18 because they just get that much use. And some we can push out to 22, 23, maybe even 25 years because they're still good. And if we can maybe replace a slide or replace a deck, if we can get replacement pieces, then that's what we'll do until we have to replace the whole thing. But, all right. Okay. Now this is helpful, and if there aren't high priorities, then that's okay. It's just we need to we want you to give us some guidance on that. So 24, 25, replacing the sound system in the auditorium, resurfacing the tennis courts for Brookside, new restroom out of Gateway Hills. Replace the basketball park at Innis Grove, and that basketball park is to the south of the tennis courts. It runs east-west, which is not really the best orientation. Really should go north-south. So that's what we're looking there. Now you see replacing the Cottonwood shelter, and then replacing the path around the South Lake. And with Ada Hayden, that one is Geo Bonds too. So again, just as a reminder, we're looking to go from 10 feet to 12 foot concrete instead of asphalt. And we did bring up at the public meeting last week, brought up about the thought about putting a line down the middle of the path. And just for example, having, feet on the inside, wheels on the outside. And the people that were in attendance actually really liked that, to help with some of the safety issues. Okay. The next slide. So with this one, again, playground equipment, ADA improvements, replacing the bridge on hole number 9, and then Ice Arena water heaters. And again, Ice Arena comes out of a different fund, so that's not an issue. So between those two slides, any priorities?
I feel like this whole 9 bridge has been on the CIP for a while. Or was there a different bridge?
No. And if you look at it, so this is now, so if it started off on year 5, it is now in year 3. So it would have been year 5, year 4, year 3, and we'd be moving it up to year 2. So
Okay.
So
No, that's
sometimes it does seem like
Yeah.
they're on there for a
Just,
while because
I've been on here for a while. So yeah.
and that is one, we'll just have to keep an eye on that, because really what we want to do is the new bridge would accommodate carts. The current one does not. So you do have people going back against the flow, on hole number 8, and then, on hole number 1, type of thing. But so anything in there jumping out to commissioners?
Yeah, I just, with that bridge,
You can flip back and forth
with
between
it
those,
being,
Joshua.
the potential for that to move up if it becomes a safety issue. Just keeping that in mind. But other than that, I don't see anything that needs to be prioritized above others.
Okay. If not, we can move to 2526. So in here we have, parking near the soccer fields. That's right at the bottom of the hill on 13th Street. And then renovate the restroom at River Valley, renovate the canoe kayak access that's in River Valley. Then adding the climbing boulder, replace the path around the North Lake, again, geo bonds, and then playground equipment. And then the next slide is ADA, and then also the, installing the bridge, over Iowa Creek. And we have been working closer. We're working on easement right now. And this has been longer than the ravine because it was there, it moved up, and then it got pushed back, and then it's there. So really the whole idea, and with this one, just from a priority standpoint, with the bike ped plan that's being developed right now, making that connection is going to be a good thing from Moore Memorial Park all the way up to Ontario Road. But that has been on there. So anything here that jumps out as
I mean, I like the boulder. I don't know if it's important.
Well, full disclosure, Joshua, Courtney, and I, when we were looking at this and saying, man, when we're looking at all these things, that might be one that winds up getting pushed. And I know there's a contingency that's out there. And if we can do it, great. But if it's that versus safety,
Yeah.
Well,
like what?
and it may be something that once the agility course is installed, that if that is able to fulfill some of those similar activities,
Yeah.
if there's still a community desire for it. But it's a lot of the similar strength building, although you don't have like the simulated rockness of it all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And one of the things too, and it didn't put a slide up here, so just so everybody knows, when we look at items, and this is what we'll do with all of these items too, when from a priority standpoint. So if it's mandated that we have to do it, obviously that's a high priority. If it's something that is a safety issue, it's a high priority. If something breaks down, whatever, and it causes us to drop our service level, for example, we had the auditorium sound system. If that were to just stop working, and then we weren't able to have things in the auditorium, or are having to rent equipment to be able to provide that sound system, those are things that we look at. And then we get down to, kind of those, needs versus wants, at the end. And there's some other things that we look at too, but those are some of the issues that we look at as we're going through these.
What was the problem with the Ada Hayden North bike path?
So right now, we have been having to patch it. And so one of the things is the trails generally about 20 years, roughly. So these paths, Ada Hayden opened in 2004. So we're coming up on that 20 years. We just spent, I forget how much money to do some patching around the southwest area of the path, and then just throughout the path. We're seeing on the edges, they're starting to kind of crumble, with it. We're getting a lot of cracking, that's happening. You remember how much money?
50, right? It was like 50.
About 50,000 just to kind of do repairs to get us to this point. So, but also because of the use, 10 feet just isn't enough, when we have the bikers and the pedestrians and so on. So we really want to take it to 12. And that's why the concrete also, well, it has been shown, if you get the concrete, you won't get that crumbling on the edges like you do with the asphalt, and so on. So those are some things that,
Just overall longevity of
Pushing
the
it.
concrete is going to, expand, lengthen the time that we have to do repairs too on it eventually. So
This is really difficult because, it's our mission to provide the greatest possible experience for the greatest possible number of people. And there's nothing in here that says like, oh, this is crazy amount of money for not a lot of people. These are things that really affect very busy, attributes of our park system. So I don't know how you can cut a lot of these out of here. So it's a really difficult task,
Yeah.
oh yeah. We, when Courtney, Josh, and I have been sitting down and having these conversations, it's a lot of,
Yeah.
Sometimes when I ask the question, all right, well, what should we delay? What should we move? What should we cut? And things. There's usually a lot of silence,
Mhm.
and I think it's just for that reason, Nathan. It is difficult, so yeah. All right, if nothing else on these, we'll go to 26, 27. And that just shows you where the path is. So 26, 27, we're finishing the gym floor. And when we say refinish, right now, just as part of operations, we refinish. We kind of sand down, a light sanding, put a new finish on every other year. But we're getting to a point where, we just have to do a good sanding and level out the floor. There are areas where we're starting to get in those, it's a tongue and groove type of thing. So you start getting a little bit of cupping. So you just need to smooth that out. So that's something, again, we've already mentioned the Innis Grove tennis courts, the cracking, the posts. There's just a number of things that need to be done. And we feel it's money better served just to do it all at once rather than try to do some repair and then have to spend a lot of money to do it all over again. So that's one of the things. South 16th Street, renovate that canoe kayak access. I should say both of those canoe kayak accesses, there is money out there, grant money, just for that purpose. And that is something that we feel that we could be very competitive on getting some of that money for those. The baseball field light poles at Brookside, right now we aren't using the lights. Those poles are old, and we just want to get them down before they come down on their own, and we definitely don't want that to happen. It's not to that point, but again, we need to do it. Ada Hayden, Jensen Pond up on the north side on the Upland Trail, is try to do a number of things, put a solar aerator up there, maybe a path around it, maybe a fishing pier, and really make it an area for work with the DNR, to have the bluegills, some of those fish that the kids like to catch. And every time they throw their line out, they're catching a fish. That's kind of make it a good experience. Playground equipment. Next slide. And then replacing the light fixtures on the deck, and then ADA improvements, ice arena lobby flooring. That is something that we have talked that we might be able to delay that a little bit. And then Hayden's Preserve, develop a new park. That comes out of the Park Development Fund, and that one, until they actually start digging out there and start developing something, this has probably been in year 5 for seems like 8 years. So a long time. So anything on that list?
I guess I don't know how much of a priority it'd be for me to renovate Jensen Pond. I mean,
Yeah.
unless there's something pressing about it.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
I mean, it's a kind of a water quality issue or? I don't know.
not so much a water quality issue. The aeration will help with that. But one of the things that happens is we do get beavers in that area. And the way it's constructed right now, the beavers can block the outlet for that. And then what happens if we get heavy rains sometimes, and it may not eliminate all of this, but then that water overflows onto the path and sometimes runs down the path.
Right.
And in heavy rains, we've had to redo a good portion of the path because it gets eroded. So I know Joshua and staff have been looking at a system. If you think of something like this, like a box culvert, and an outlet is here, and you get this inside that box culvert, the water flows up over this into there and then goes out that way. And just by having a system like that, the beaver can't get in to close it. That's kind of the premise, right, Joshua?
Yeah.
So
The beavers get smarter.
We're just
Well-
training the beavers that have super beavers.
so those animals, well, and you can do other things with it. I'm sure there might be a screen on top or something like that, but that's one of the things that we would take care of at the same time. But yeah, that would be something new, that's not out there right now.
But like the current depth of the pond is like very minimal, like 1 to 2 feet. It's silted in so bad, and we're just trying to basically at this point get by just because it requires a lot of money to renovate it. So that's just 2 cents. It has nothing to do bearing on your thought, but
Yeah.
I think it eventually would add a lot of value to that area of the park.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, just as those neighborhoods grow as well, yeah.
All right. So if we move on, and so there are some immediate needs, that we have identified. The auditorium HVAC system. Now with this one, this comes out of a different pot of money. Comes out of City Hall CIP, and I think initially we had, maybe 200,000 to do it, and then bids came in high or the estimates, and we upped it to 400,000, and then we bid it, and it came in at 600,000, and things. So
I don't think I'd bid it anymore.
yeah. So it's just something that it needs to happen, but we're looking now at, are there other ways to do it? The Innis Grove Park tennis court repairs. See the Innis Grove Park restroom that caught on fire. And I think we might have told you this in August, but the renovations that we did there were about $80,000. And Joshua has one quote so far. It's about $150,000.
Oh my gosh.
We're going for another $250,000 bathroom, aren't we?
to do the repairs.
That's
So-
no.
Now with this one, we do have insurance, $25,000 deductible. So really the cost for us is going to be $25,000.
Did they ever have any suspects? I kind of lost the thread on that.
Yeah, there hasn't been any arrests or anything,
What a deal.
at that time. And then some things with the ice arena that we're working on, sound system, the sand leveling, which I think we've mentioned to you that needs to be done.
Oh, yeah.
And then paint the exterior. And a couple of these things, we might have some other funding that we might be able to use for that to get those done. But those are, again, those do not come out of the local option sales tax. But we're getting to a point, and this is why we upped the contribution from 20,000 to 40,000, because we're getting to that point in the facility that we need to have more money available because things are now needing to be replaced. And this doesn't even take into account pump that we have shut off, It needs to be replaced, and we have basically a wheel in the dehumidification unit or the HVAC system that needs to be replaced for about 25,000, and we have found the funding, for that. So just a number of things, and this is what's happening. So next, again, we mentioned about no, go to the next one. So the input session on September 8th, in the packet, we gave you the meeting notes, email and phone comments, and then we do get suggestions throughout the year. So when we're going through this, it's a combination, and of these items are all on here. All right. So suggestions, the ravine, we are going to be doing a study on that this year and see if it's an issue or not an issue out at Homewood, at number 9 ravine, benches along Car Park Path, Parkview Park Path. There's basically from various different points, there's concrete walkways to get you into the park, and then the paths end. At some point, we'll need to do something there. Bocce courts in the park system, dog park in West Ames, and close shelter at Ada Hayden. Improved lighting, that was brought up at the meeting the other night. Improved lighting on the pickleball courts, tennis courts, so on. Modernize or upgrade the Ada Hayden Park restrooms, railings to the stone steps in Miracle Park, a second swing bay at Parkview North, Daly Park parking lot. This is, what the, residents are concerned that there isn't going to be enough parking in the lot and on the street to accommodate shelter use and the splash pad. Add fit lot fitness area to the park system. Now, individual that came and asked to talk to me about this, I did mention to him about, shared funding if something like this was going to happen, and he was going to look at grants and other things to see if that's a potential. So, again, just like the kayak launch up at Ada Hayden, kind of a shared funding thing, and then that helps. Adding sidewalks to O'Neill Park, that came up during the indoor aquatic site location discussions. Add more outdoor fitness classes, card clubs. That's operational. Again, I just put it up here that these are suggestions that we have. This just gives you an idea of what that fit lot fitness, looks like. Got the rubber surface and just various pieces of equipment. Again, you could use it for programming. People could go out there. When we've looked at this in the past, when I think Joshua and Kelly had done some research, and people, other departments said the best luck they had is when they placed them next to playgrounds and so on. Then kids could be on the playground, parents, grandparents could be, working out, so on. So, public suggestions, it's still, the weight room and cardio equipment. Now, with the weight room, we already have that in there. Cardio equipment, we have a replacement. We replace the equipment about every 4 to 5 years with it. So that's done through operations. Christopher Gardner Park, that was a suggestion. That's already in for this year. That funding is already available. Walkway at the end of the clubhouse sidewalk. And if you saw the comment on the email, with it, Emma McCarthy Lee Park, Munn Woods, the stream bank, repairs. There were some things with the heavy rain that we had earlier this year. And that's just one of the things with all of our streams, with all of our creeks, with all of the rivers in this town. All of them need stream bank restoration. And it's just a matter of what's the priority. And that's something that we work with Public Works on. It's not something that we would just do. Add soap dispensers to park restrooms. Again, that'd be an operational thing. Bicycle pump track. That was a suggestion last year. We got suggestion again this year, and that's some pictures of what that might look like. If you do hard surface, then you got the bicycles, the skateboards, the scooters, mobility devices, everybody could use it. And again, some of these items, could be options for the community park out west, but we will do some public input meetings, for that and try to get some ideas. So keep moving on. Then we have, some staff suggestions, Ada Hayden North parking lot, we'll have to, to do some work on, the Moore Memorial Park stream bank stabilization, new picnic tables at Tom Evans Plaza, potentially new flooring in the weight room. One is replace the radiant heat. That's over the bleachers and in the lobby area. Now, we did do some repairs on that this past year, and it's working. So that one could maybe be pushed off a little bit. Homewood parking lot lighting and mini golf course. Replace irrigation systems at Homewood and Banshell. Just need to take more look at that. Furman Aquatic Center, some ideas. Switch to bulk CO2. Get away from, we buy it by canister, so if we did it bulk, it'd be cheaper. Switch from liquid chlorine to briquettes. With the 2 splash pads, we're going to go with briquettes. And we're looking at that, having conversation about that with the Indoor Aquatic Center. So, do we just, all 4 facilities having the same system, would be a helpful. Retaining wall by the lazy river is starting to show some wear. So we may have to redo that. It might be with that one, it'd probably just be a matter of taking, the stones off, getting the releveling and then just redoing it, type of thing. So the material would be all labor expense, not necessarily material expense. And we're working towards programmable locking doors in all the park restrooms. Not all of them. If it's in a flood situation, we don't want to do it. Upgrade all park restrooms. And then, we're looking at, it's 10 years roughly, not quite, since we did skate park repairs, maybe 8. So there are some things that we might have to do there as well. So with all of that said, was there anything on those lists that?
That's it.
Well, we had about 3 pages from staff comments, but Joshua, Courtney, and I kind of went through and pulled out the ones that we felt were.
They might be watching, Keith.
All good ideas.
Oh, they are.
They were.
They are all
Yeah.
good ideas, but we tried to take a look at which ones, again, from what we've mentioned earlier, kind of fit into some of those categories and look at that. So other anything on the list that really jumped out at you?
We just need more money.
Yeah. So true.
It all
Uh,
sounds great.
Yeah.
Let's do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, just from a long-term standpoint, reading the comments from the meeting, continuing to work on trail easements around the city to get some of these pieces filled in. And personally, that continues to be a priority for me. And I know a lot of other people that like to ride the city. So.
Yeah, and just with that, and what we mentioned to the people at the meeting in regards to that is a lot of that is not in our CIP. It's done through Public Works with the traffic engineer and so on. We talked about the bike ped plan, and we'll get the information to them so they know who to speak to and be able to follow just plan development and be able to provide suggestions. So,
I guess if there's one that I think should maybe be given some priority from the staff recommendations would maybe be the retaining wall. I know we've had problems in the past, and I guess I'd rather get ahead of it than have it be a problem that kind of comes upon us
Yeah.
naturally.
As
so-
well. Natural disaster leave.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, especially after a couple of dry summers here, if we have a very rainy year and that, accelerates
Mhm.
deterioration, that's always a concern.
Yeah, we don't need to have staff go out there some morning and find a retaining wall in the lazy river.
Right.
That would not be good.
Keith, I think I asked this last year when the ISU hockey team was put on probation.
Yep.
If they do not come back, they've been elevated to a whole different status now. You mentioned that there's enough of the other clubs that use that facility to kind of pick up the rental time there. Would that be 100% of their time, or are we going to look at some type of, because we have a lot of ice arena fixes coming up.
Yeah. So again, with that is really, it's two different funds, right? So the rental fees go into our operational fund balance. And if revenues are more than expenses, then that fund balance grows. If expenses are greater than revenues, then we have to pull from that fund, to balance. So from an operational standpoint, we'll be able to give you a much better idea when we bring the operational budget to you in January. But as of right now, so there are a few things that are happening. We're actually we've been working with Iowa State with intramurals, and we're right now, I think we have an agreement that we can use their curling equipment when they're not having a program. So we're looking at learn to curl classes. And then we'll, try to, at certain times of the year, we'll be able to try to get some curling leagues. And especially during the winter time, the daytime hours with retirees and so on, will really be a market that we're going to want to go after, because that's when we have the time. Maybe a Sunday morning, maybe a Sunday evening, and so on. So some of the time from men's hockey has been picked up by other clubs. I will say that there are hockey players that are renting ice, during the day. It's not part of ISU men's hockey or anything, but there is a group that has rented or is renting ice. So that has picked up some of that as well. And really one of the big things too is the intramurals. They are now going back to offering, we think, at least that we've been told, is they're having curling, they're having broomball, and they're having hockey as part of intramurals. The hockey is still a little iffy, but that is something that helps. So we're continuing to look at what are we doing. We're looking at special events. So one of the things, such as like with Halloween, instead of doing a Halloween something during normal skate time on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4, hey, let's do a Halloween event in the evening and do something with some different activities and so on, and try to get a whole nother group of people in. So those are things that we're looking at. I've talked with Courtney, and I think she's going to be working with Bryce and Taylor on maybe some special events out at the ice arena as well. So kind of a long answer, but there are a number of things. And then on the capital fund balance side, that's where Joshua and Kelly had put together kind of a 20-year outlook with it, and that's where we're looking. It's like, 20,000 isn't cutting it. Even at 40,000 a year isn't gonna give us everything that we're gonna need. And there may be times where there might be a given year where the city may have to say, all right, we're going to put in 75,000 this year, ISU puts in 75,000 because we have a $150,000 project that we just can't take out of that normal fund that capital fund balance. So there's a lot of moving pieces, Dwayne, and that we're continue to keep looking at, and obviously we have a lot of projects. The downtown plaza has been started. We have the indoor aquatic center. Now with the parkland, that purchase agreement, and so a lot of really cool things. Speak to what you say a lot of times, Nathan, but a lot of neat things that are going to be coming. But we also have to take care of what we have.
Yep.
So, all right.
All right. Any other CIP comments or discussion? Okay. Next item on the agenda is a couple of major project updates and updates on things we discussed last month.
Yeah. So just and I think what we'll probably do is we'll have an item on the agenda like this for a while, just to keep giving you updates on some of these projects, so on. With the Fitch Family Indoor Aquatic Center, obviously City Council did approve did direct staff to purchase, get the purchase agreement and all associated contracts on the DOT site, not to go to the O'Neill Park site. So we're working on that. We did have a meeting with RDG and Story Construction, RDG for architectural services, Story Construction for the construction management services. We had that last week, Thursday, and it was very productive meeting. Just talked about a number of things and really kind of looked at the timeline, which was the main part of it. So right now, if we're able to start design in October, we're probably looking, design won't be completed until probably June, maybe even July, depending on how soon that we get. So about 9 months with it. And then we talked about bidding. If we get bids out maybe in July or award a contract in August, not necessarily the best time, to be putting a bid out. October, November might be better, but we'll just have to see what the market is looking like, because we asked the question, if October or November is a better bidding time, does it make sense to wait and bid at that time, or are we just wind up increasing the cost? And kind of the mantra that we kept hearing is, time is our foe, right now, and it's just going to cost us money unless things change out in the market, and things start coming back down, and that may help us in the long run. But construction still probably about 18 months is what they're thinking. And depending on when we get the bidding, if we bid in July or August, we may be able to start some construction in the fall or late fall of 23. If we do the October, November bidding, we're probably looking spring of 24. Either way, we're looking at opening the building sometime in 25. So we have told them that ideally it probably makes sense to get through the Furman season. Furman closes early September of 25, and then we open the Fitch Family Indoor Aquatic Center at that time. We are looking at probably trying to get the DOT site, probably looking at maybe taking possession January 4th or 5th of 23, and then probably doing asbestos abatement and demo probably yet winter of 23. So that kind of gives you an update. Still a lot of pieces, that are happening, that we're working through, but any questions on that one? If not, so the City Council did recommend or direct staff to put together a purchase agreement to purchase parcels 1 or 2, roughly 50 acres. They also did, approve a resolution to submit the REAP grant. We already submitted that back in August, but council needed to pass a resolution. So we'll get that down to the REAP committee. Hopefully we'll hear sometime early October is the goal. Again, that for 200,000. They did pass 2 other motions. One motion, was to directed staff to see how we can secure the creek, whether it's through property acquiring property or minimum easements to have that trail, like what.
Greenbelt, yeah.
So they felt that was important to have the creek as part of the park, rather than relying on developers or a neighborhood association or something. And then the other one was directed staff to look at the feasibility of renovating any of the buildings or being able to reuse the buildings. My comment to council was what I have seen. I don't think there's really anything worth trying to renovate or restore or keep, for our purposes. But we'll take a further look at that. So those were 2 additional motions that they passed. So we'll be working on getting that accomplished as well. Agreement with Cameron Gray to place the obelisk that Free Library in Franklin Park. They did pass that agreement. One of the requests from Cameron Gray was he requested that Parks and Recreation put cameras on the artwork for fear of vandalism, safety, and so on. Staff did not recommend putting cameras in, at this time, because there's a lot of people also. It's just not from a vandalism standpoint, but if you're taking pictures, just somebody going and looking at the piece of artwork is now getting their picture taken. And I know we've had issues, from a civil liberty standpoint, of people, struggle with that, and so on. So there was a motion that was made to direct staff to do further exploration and check the feasibility of adding cameras, in this location. That wound up, it was a second, but it did get defeated 4-2. So as of right now, the piece of equipment will go up. It will be maintained by, it's really a loan, an art loan is what it is, the agreement. So Mr. Gray will maintain it. We will do some lighting. We're actually meeting with him on Monday out at the site, to really narrow in on a location and really try to look at, because obviously you can tuck it away in amongst trees, which makes it more prone to vandalism. I'm sure you know that. The more remote things are, the more tucked away. Or do we make it a more prominent feature in the park, closer to lighting, and make it maybe not as prone? So that's that part of it. Based on the comments that you gave staff regarding the eagle sculpture at the August meeting, did go to the Public Art Commission in September, September 6th. Went and presented the same information. They loved it. They had some ideas. Lighting, was one of them. Concern for vandalism. Some of the same conversation that commission had. So we'll be meeting with the Friends of Ada Hayden the first week of October at their board meeting. And I'll have conversation with them and see what any comments that they have, and then we'll start moving forward, and we'll bring an update back to you at that time. So, any questions about any of these 4 projects?
Did the threats that Mr. Gray had, did that come to you guys, the city council, or to him regarding some of the things that were said about his project?
With that, and what Dwayne is referring to, So when this was brought up 6 months ago or whenever, when he asked council about it, there was an article in the Tribune or the Des Moines Register, and it was put online. And then some of the responses online, one of the responses was, sounds like good target practice. So I don't think it was directed at Mr. Gray. It was in response to the article and the I guess the idea, behind it, of the obelisk and stocking books of Black authors and so on. So that's how I took it. And then he shared that information with his request to City Council, the mayor and City Council members, and his request for cameras. So.
And then on the other question I had was regarding the Eagles. You had talked about some type of a standard that brings them up off the ground.
Yep.
How high was that you guys thinking about to get that there?
Well, Mr. Shao, who has the pieces, he was thinking 10 to 12 feet. So, and again, what he was looking at is having these reinforced concrete columns, wrapping them in bark and wire, and then having that wisteria, grow up, and then putting juniper bushes kind of around to, again, try to keep people out of there. So 10 to 12 feet is what he is thinking. Again, that's what his suggestion was. We have not had, from our point and talking with an engineer or anybody, what do we need to do? So that would be part of further conversation.
Does that height prohibit people from enjoying the sculpture?
That's something that have to take a look at, with it. The bases of those structures or those sculptures, are a little bit bigger with it. But one of the things that was talked about at the Public Art Commission is that if they do go in that location that Mr. Shao has suggested, as you're coming from the south, you're actually up a little bit higher. And so when you're coming from the south, you might almost be at the level of those sculptures. And then as you come closer to it, then you'll come down, and then you'll be looking at them from that 10 to 12 foot. Public Art Commission felt very strongly about lighting with it. One individual who I took as an artist was saying it's not so much the light during the day that really brings these things to life. It's the light at night. You could do solar lighting and so on. So that's something that we'll need to have more conversation with Mr. Shao as well. But that was a concern is, if you had them lower, yes, people could see them a lot better, but then the threat of vandalism and the Public Art Commission said, they'll still be able to see them, still be able to enjoy them, and protecting them is going to be very important. So, good question.
Nobody would vandalize an eagle.
Hope not.
Unfortunately, it's something we
Yeah.
have to deal with almost daily.
Yeah.
All
right. Any other questions or discussion for Keith? Okay. Next item on the agenda is 2 upcoming ribbon cuttings.
Yeah, so next week, Wednesday, September 21st, 5:30, the accessible kayak launch. Hopefully you can attend with it. Like I said, we have had a lot of positive comments about it from a variety of people. We will have some groups. The Outdoor Alliance, I know, is looking to have a table and kind of giving some information. Access Ada Hayden group has been reaching out to the Friends group, see if they want to have a table, maybe some other areas. Part of it we asked to have David, who is part of Access Ada Hayden. He's going to do a demonstration after we do the ribbon cutting. So people will get a good feel for how it works if they haven't seen it in operation. So hopefully you can come out there, hope for good weather, sunshine and all that good stuff. And then Tahira and Lobhira Park, even though the park has been in operation, we haven't done a formal ribbon cutting. The Hiras do live in Florida, but they are now making the trip back. So 4:00 on Thursday, October 6th, we will be having that ribbon cutting, and if hopefully you can make that as well. So a couple exciting projects.
Right. Any questions for Keith on that? Next item is other project updates.
Yeah, I think we've kind of covered a lot of them, so I don't think there's really anything else that we need to provide an update on at this time.
Okay. Next item is the monthly report. Don't know if there's anything. Pools closed down for the season, and
Yep, got Furman Clock Centers closed down for the season. It's in the process of being drained. A couple of the Lazy River, I believe, is drained already. The 50 meters on its, slowly but surely getting there. We do that. We do that to slow, just so we can. Obviously, the chlorine has to dissipate before we can discharge it into the wetland cell. But then we don't need to have it full bore and overload that wetland cell. So we just do it slowly. So, and then we're also doing maintenance, putting it to bed there. Also, I want to make people aware that we are still trapping mosquitoes, still monitoring the population. Even though it's been really, really dry, the West Nile virus, it tends to rear its ugly head at that time when it's really dry. So we're still monitoring that situation. So
who knew? All right. Any questions for Joshua? All right. Next item is commissioner comments. I did have a comment about Emma McCarthy Lee Park, of course. I only hang out there with my dog. There seemed to be a lot of charcoal mess on the ground, and so I wonder if having one of those charcoal repositories would help with that, because I don't know if I'm sure people don't want to throw it away. They don't know they can throw it away once it's cool, but just around the picnic shelter at the bottom.
Yep.
So
Yeah, we can take a look at that.
Oh, and the water fountain by the picnic shelter sounded like it had an internal leak going on. It's kind of a noise, even when it wasn't running. There's my Emma McCarthy Lee Park report. Bridge is still great.
Yeah. And if you see things like that, you can always just shoot us a
Yeah,
email right away,
I
too,
forgot.
and
Now I remember.
especially
it,
if there's a water leak or something
Yeah.
like that, so we can.
I think we were just
take
down
care
there
of it right
last
away.
night, so I just
Yeah.
forgot to email you. So
Nope, perfect.
usually I bug you over email. So.
Any time frame when we're going to get another friend for the commission?
I've been in conversation with the mayor. He's reviewing applications, and so hopefully we can get somebody. Maybe we can get somebody even by next
Yes.
meeting. So
And I'll have a neighbor.
I feel a little lonely.
thanks, Nathan.
All right. Is there any other comments or things? I will for sure be at the kayak launch ribbon cutting. So, all right. Our next meeting is Thursday, October 20th. And I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Right, meeting is adjourned.